All right, section 11.2, we're looking at percents. All right. Remember, when we work with a percent in an equation, in most cases, we're going to convert that percent into a fraction or a decimal, right? So if I had 5%, that's the same thing as 5 over 100, because that's what a percent is, how many out of 100. Or I can take the 5, and if I move the decimal 2 places to the left, I get 0.05 is the number that I would use to multiply into an equation. All right, so the number you're comparing to is the base number. We've got 3 basic forms of a percent equation, or there's 3 key parts to every percent equation. We have part of the whole, so which I'm designated as A. B is going to be the whole amount, and then P is going to be for the percent. So if I take a percent of a whole amount, that's going to give me the part of the whole, right? And so 3 basic equations, we could have the part A is going to be equal to the percent times the whole amount. So if we are given the percent and the whole amount, we can figure out the part of the whole and multiplying those together. Now remember, this P has to be the percent has to be a decimal or a fraction, right? We're going to convert it from a percentage to a decimal. If we're given the part and the whole, the part that we're looking at divided by the whole amount will give us the percent, or it will actually give us a decimal form, and to get it to a percent, we would move the decimal 2 to the right. And just the reverse of getting it ready to go into the equation. And then if we're given the part A and the percent, if we divide the part by the percent, that'll give us the whole amount that we're actually dealing with. So 3 different types of equations. First one here says, what is 150% of $200? So what are we given? We're given a percent P, and we're taking a percent of this number. So this number has to be the whole, or that's our B part. Now, we're given P and B. So P and B, we're looking at A equals the percent times the whole. Now, before we can do that, our percent has to be converted. So 150%, the decimal is after the 0, so move it to the left 2 places. That's going to be 1.5. So our part of the whole is going to be 1.5 for the percent times 200. And 1.5 times 200 is going to give us $300. And in most cases, when we're dealing with percents, we're looking for a number we're solving for the part. It's going to be smaller than the whole. But in this case, since our percent is over 100%, our part that we're dealing with is actually bigger than the whole. All right, next one, 26 is 40% of what number? All right, we have a percent, 40%. And it says 26 is 40% of what number? So 26 is a percentage of some other number, so 26 is the part, or the A, right? As far as these equations go. So we're given the P and the A, so that's this equation. The the whole B is equal to A divided by P. Once again, convert our percentage. So decimal should be after the 0 and the 40. Move to the left. We have 0.4. So our whole amount is going to be the part 26 divided by the percent. 26 divided by 0.4. And 26 divided by 0.4 is going to give us 65. All right, so then the last one, 48, is what percent of 160? So 48 is what percent of 160? So 48 is our A, that's the part. 160 is the whole B. And we're trying to find the percent, right? That's our P. So we're doing P is equal to A over B. So our percent here is going to be equal to 48 over 160. And if we divide that out, P is going to equal 0.3. 48 divided by 160 is 0.3. Now we're looking for a percent. So mathematically we use a percent as a decimal, but when we want to list it as a percent, we have to take it out of that decimal. And so we move the decimal now. 0.3, we're going to move it to the right too. Right? Just the opposite of when we're putting it into the equation. So our percentage is 30%. So 48 is 30% of 160. All right, so that is section 11.2.